And we are live. Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Ammunation live stream. I am your host, Craig Bragg, and this is my co-host, the enigmatic Irving Twin. Say hello, Irving.
Bonsoir, mes amis.
Oh, wow. That's very fancy. It's too fancy for this live stream. Holy crap. So how's everybody doing tonight? I don't see any comments yet. Oh, wait, there is a comment. Oh, it's Irving's comment. He said he was first. And he did that about 15 minutes ago. So if you're not watching now, I'm sure you'll be watching either after the fact or be showing up soon. Anyway, Irving.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Quite well, actually.
Good.
As Friday go, this was decent.
Yeah, my day at work was pretty quiet. It wasn't too busy. And it kind of went off without a hitch. The week, as I've noticed since I've been working from home, it just shoots by. Like it feels like yesterday was Monday, and
yeah,
it's amazing. But I
great.
hope that stays.
Yeah, getting out of the house for me is like 5 days a week again. It just flew past few weeks. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. And Friday nights I get off really early, apparently. Yeah. So, yeah.
What time did you work till tonight?
Only about 9:15.
What time do you start your day?
Well, it's afternoon starts, right?
Oh, I see. Okay, so
we usually work through till about 10:30, but yesterday we got off just before 10, and today was 9:15. And I think because new people got hired, it's going to stay like that, at least for the foreseeable future.
Welcome, Costin. Thanks for joining. Costin, your profile pic is on its side. I hope you're aware of that.
But, I think he did it on purpose.
I'm guessing he probably did.
Everyone does this.
Hey, Costin. Anyway, thanks for coming by, Costin. I'm glad to see you. So there's a couple of things that are kind of on my mind about what's happened in the last week, and I'd like to get your thoughts on them. I don't know where I know, right? Where should we start?
Wait, hold on. Was it this week or last week? Like Louis said, they've been flying by.
Yeah.
Did this week literally start off with a bang in Lebanon?
I think that was last week.
Was it last week?
I think so, yeah. The blast in Beirut.
That's right. It's this week the entire government resigned, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and there's so much conspiracy theory sort of floating around about that. And I just don't know what to believe. Like you take a look at the size of that blast. That was a big blast.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they're saying, it was ammonium nitrate being stored in a munitions warehouse that was being used by, was it Hamas?
Yeah,
that Hezbollah?
They basically they're manure bombs, right? Fertilizer bombs, right?
Yeah. They use fertilizer, ammonia. Yeah.
Mm.
But they're saying this stuff was stored there for years, and then it doesn't just automatically go up, right? There must have been something that caused it to go up.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, any accident probably could have done it. I don't know if it was terrorism as much as neglect. If you let that shit sit there for 6 years, I imagine you've begun to neglect it.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I'm just thinking about the region, and I know this might be, being a little bit, falling for stereotypes and perpetuating stereotypes. You think about the region, and you think about what's happened in that country recently, like I'm talking the last 5 years or so.
Right.
It almost seems suspicious if it wasn't some sort of coordinated attack.
Some people have been posting videos, but I don't know how shocked they are, where they make it appear as if a missile came out of the sky.
I've seen that one where it's kind of in a reverse field.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
But I mean, I don't know if I believe that.
No. Well, I'm not sure I believe it either. Well, why would you change the color orientation on it? If only maybe to indicate that you can't see it because it was daytime unless you change the color orientation.
Yeah, I think that was the point, if it's real. But on the other hand, it was a little suspicious that this explosion happens and Israel's like, I didn't do it.
Yeah, well, people immediately blame them, right? So
still.
Now, if Israel did do it, do you think it would have been a provocation, or do you think it would have been do you think it would have been a retaliation or a response, or a deliberate attack, or do you think it might have been, fuck, we were doing some war games testing and oops?
See, I don't know enough about the inner politics of the Middle East.
Yeah, neither do I. But I do think it's kind of convenient that yesterday United Arab Emirates and Israel signed this, unique peace deal. Now, where does Lebanon sit in terms of UAE, in terms of their relationship? Do they get along, or?
I don't know. See, again, I don't know how devout Lebanon is, because from what I understand, the UAE is one of the more modern Muslim nations.
Yeah. And I mean, they still have restrictive edicts with regards to how women are to dress and that sort of thing, but they don't take the apostasy law quite so seriously, right? They don't you decide you want to leave the faith, oh, we're going to kill you now. It's not, but they do have sort of cultural restrictions on the way people conduct themselves, the way they dress, that kind of stuff.
And they've moved into volunteer slavery.
What the hell is that?
People from other countries can volunteer to go there and get paid almost nothing and work 12 and 16-hour days for a year, then take all the money, which is not really that much in terms of, say, a Western nation, but for their third world nation, it's probably a whole lot, and then go home. So you're basically, you're signing up for indentured servitude and then leaving with what in your country might be a shitload of money.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. As long as you're not, basically shanghaied into doing it, you're out drinking one night with your buddies and you wake up the morning and you're on a fucking truck on your way to UAE. And if after, 3 months you realize, you know what, this fucking job ain't worth it, I want to leave, and they let you leave, if that's okay, and you agree to work for a pittance wage, then I'm like, all right, whatever, do what you want to do, man.
I do believe the nature of the contract is such. I don't know if you can't leave, but if you did leave 3 months into a 1-year contract, you would get nothing.
Well, that sounds reasonable too, though, because you agree to a 1-year contract.
Also, it's people from usually what I understand are third world countries, right?
Yeah, like Senegal and Eritrea and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, and even the poverty-stricken places in India. I think that's the majority is Indian, Indian descent people. Because I actually worked with a guy who was born in the UAE. No, he was born in Qatar, but they do the same thing.
Yeah,
but he's not a citizen of there because his parents were working.
Oh, okay. So he doesn't have citizenship for Qatar.
That's right.
Interesting. Yeah, that wasn't on my list. That wasn't on my list of topics, but it was a good discussion anyway. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened in Beirut, but I mean, it's not the only explosion that's happened over the last week or so. There's been explosions in the UK. There's been explosions in other European countries. I think there was one in the US. Apart from the riots and stuff, I think there was another one in the US. I don't know where it was.
Like a big explosion like that.
Like not big like Beirut, but like big enough that you go, "Oh, that's a big explosion."
See, I didn't even hear about that one.
Maybe it's not the US. I think it's another English-speaking nation, though.
I know there was some kind of huge fire in Australia, separate from wildfires that was happening. I think.
Yeah. Maybe it's in Melbourne or something. They're fucked up too. They're going into this like crazy lockdown shit too. Australia, they're becoming a completely totalitarian shithole.
Oh yeah,
and that's what happens when you take away people's guns. Ammunation, everybody. Eventually gets around to guns. But guns aren't the most dangerous thing in the world, as we all know. there's always the risk of chainsaw attack.
Chainsaw wielding fucking maniacs on the beach in
Cherry
Toronto.
Beach Chainsaw Massacre. That actually is a good title for a movie. The Cherry Beach Chainsaw Massacre, but the people who made Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they'd probably sue. But yeah, what the fuck happened there? So my understanding is, and I know there's not a lot of details that have come out since the arrest of these schmucks, but my understanding is there was an area at Cherry Beach. The previous night there had been a party by the people who were organizing their protest at Queen's Park over the COVID lockdown and COVID policies. And around 6:30 a.m. or so, everybody had gone. The only people there were left were people cleaning up. And then by around 9:30, I guess the DJ was still there, packing up some of his equipment, probably just hanging out and smoking a cigarette or whatever. And there was an altercation between these two guys and some dude. They took off, came back with chainsaws, started threatening people, and they ended up cutting this DJ's deck in half.
I did not know about the DJ.
Yeah. This is what happened apparently. The deck of the DJ, he's like, "Fuck, I'm getting out of here," and they started destroying his property, cut his deck in half. Deck, people, deck, not dick. His deck.
I do think it is confirmed that there was a fight. It may not have been like a 1-on-1, 2-on-1. It may have been like a small, short-lived brawl,
like a skirmish amongst many.
Yeah, and these two guys did not fare well. Came back covered in their own blood, but no shirts. It's the beach, right?
Well, no. Also, before you get into a fight, you've seen Letterkenny.
Yeah, no, you gotta take your shirt off.
You take your shirt off, man, before you get into a fight. What kind of pageantry is that? You take your shirt off and you leave your sunglasses on. Anyway. Yeah, I don't get it. And one of them, it looked like at least one of them had like face tattoos. So you have a theory about that?
Well, see, and it's not just me. It has been suggested that they may be MS-13. Can I share?
Canada?
Oh yeah, no,
MS-13 in Canada.
That'd only be like the 20th time, right?
Really, they're active here, are they?
Okay, so apparently. You pop this up, yeah. This tattooed.
Look at those genius. Pull up your pants, faggot! Oh my god, people walking around like that.
Let's see if we can get a better look at them. This is the two idiots.
Yeah, they're spouting off. They're shouting at some guy holding his camera at him.
Yeah, I've got the. Yeah, see this one on the left here, covered in tats.
Yeah, he's got like face tattoos.
Definitely neck tattoos. Might have something hard to tell from this angle and the speed here, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, that guy's got blood all over him.
Yeah. And now we only see the back of him, but I think he's got tattoos on the back of his head, doesn't he?
Yeah, that are really short. Yep. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So MS-13 has obviously they enter into the United States illegally and are occasionally deported. What they've discovered is that recently it is easier for them, instead of crossing the border from Mexico into the U.S., to take a boat and illegally enter Canada and then go through the Canadian border back into the U.S. after being deported. This has happened at least twice.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You think it'd be kind of tricky to cross the border with face tattoos like that. But, okay, so let me get this straight. So, I mean, that's a big coastline between Canada and the United States. The Atlantic coast is a big coastline. So they're taking a bus, or they're taking a bus. They're taking a boat from Mexico to Canada. Are they like paying passage on some freighter or something like that? Or what are they doing? Like, how are they? They're not going in a dinghy.
No, absolutely not. I mean, MS-13 in South America,
money, I guess.
Yeah, they're well funded. I'm sure they have access to this, corrupt freighter. They're not sailors. What do you call them? I mean, I guess they're sailors. You're not really sailing a boat though.
But
And it wouldn't take long. Like it'd take what, 3-4 days tops?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, right. But Trump's built a fucking wall.
It's true in many places. Yeah, and the other places, basically, I mean, people are saying he never built his wall. Like, well, he built it in places, and the good thing about building it in the
miles of new wall.
Yeah, 200 and something miles.
Yeah.
The thing about that is you build it in the places where there were problems, and that forces the human traffickers and the coyotes to bring them across in other areas, and they all basically have to bottleneck in those other areas. They're much easier to pick up and much easier to stop that way, right?
Yeah.
If there's fewer areas for them to cross, they're easier to pick up. And because everybody has to come through those few areas, your level of vigilance, if you maintain the same level of vigilance as you did 5 years ago, you'll catch more because more of them are coming through fewer areas, right? So
and seriously deter further what's the word I'm looking for? Further breaches. Like it's just too hard now.
And but you know what? The coyotes and the human traffickers, they're probably making more money because they're like, it's much harder now. We're going to charge you not just your life savings, but your children's future earnings as well.
Right. See, but that actually will price them out of the market because that defeats the whole purpose of getting them across anyway.
Right. Because people, if they had the money, they'd cross legally, right?
Yeah. Well, for example, was it in the late 90s, early 2000s that suddenly all the real estate in Tokyo was worth trillions of dollars? And it's like, no, that means it's worth nothing because no one can ever buy it. And they were like, oh, fuck. And their economy started to collapse.
Yeah. It's like Toronto, right? Toronto's in the same boat. Like the private housing prices in Toronto are absolutely astronomical. And there's plenty of those condos down on the waterfront that are like half of the condos are empty. People bought them on, real estate agents would buy them on spec thinking, oh, I can turn these. And then they realized fucking nobody can afford to buy these things. So maybe they can rent them out. Maybe they can Airbnb them. But good luck with that post-COVID, right? So, but it all comes back to chainsaws. It's kind of crazy. It's not the kind of story you think you'd see, in Toronto. But now my understanding is that on Cherry Beach, there's a tent city nearby too. So I wonder if these guys are MS-13 and they were basically hiding out in that tent city.
I wouldn't put it past them, right? They know how to live hard, right?
Mm-hmm. That's not Breaking Bad.
Pardon me. See, but also we stopped sharing it, but I'm sure everyone remembers.
Oh, I can share it again if you want, but
sure. Let me.
You'll have to give it to me though.
Yeah. Yep. Here you go. Yeah, and it was just because I was thinking, right? When you see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly why I go full authoritarian and think we should mandate every adult without a history of violent crime should have to have a gun on them everywhere. Because
Switzerland Road.
They get to keep theirs in lock boxes in the closet.
Yeah.
You have to, in my perfect world where I'm the dictator, everyone has to have it on their hip at all times, okay? Because every once in a while, this shit would happen. And then, where does the camera turn? Look at all these people. Look at all these people out here.
Yeah.
All these unarmed,
at least a half a dozen in view there, yeah.
Right? If every one of them just pulled the gun off their hip and fired into these dudes, that would be problem solved.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, I agree. The problem would be solved. There wouldn't be any chainsaw wielding maniacs wandering around at Cherry Beach. But then the problem is you have two bodies in Cherry Beach and people being afraid to go to Cherry Beach now because there was a shooting. I would say, here, I'll meet you in the middle. Let people who have had the adequate training and have a valid license to own a handgun be able to carry a handgun if they so choose.
Oh, like a carry permit.
Yeah, a carry permit. Then you'd at least have one guy there, maybe if you're lucky. You'd have one guy there with a gun. Now, my understanding is cops were nearby because I guess the party that these people were having is considered an extension of their protest, right? So the cops are there to make sure nothing gets out of hand, and they were already nearby, so they were able to quickly jump on the scene and arrest these two schmucks. So
I could get on board with the idea of a carry permit as opposed to enforce like a mandate that every adult carry a firearm. I suppose.
Well, I don't want, you know what? I don't want every adult carrying a firearm because, as much as I sound like a hypocrite because I trust my fellow man to be responsible, but I don't trust every single one of my fellow men to be responsible. I know there's going to be some schmucks, some idiots out there who, will whoop and make a mistake. And so Costin is saying something here. People are even M to Stratford from Toronto, so fuck Toronto real estate. Oh, even M. What does that mean?
Moving.
Oh, moving to Stratford. So there's an exodus from Toronto. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. It's like New York is having their exodus too, right?
Oh, but theirs is that's its own thing.
It's also because of crime. It's mostly because of crime and because of prices going through the roof over there. But yeah, thanks, Costin. It's true. Yeah, people are emigrating from Toronto. That's why my neighbor just sold his house for like $740,000.
Nice.
In Burlington, yeah. So
fucking Borington.
In Borington, yeah. But it's a nice area to live.
Yeah, no, I know.
There isn't a lot of crime here right now, as yet. It's the biggest issue facing Borington is the traffic. There's so much fucking traffic in this town. Mm-hmm. But be that as it may.
But I have had that conversation about everyone having a gun.
Yes.
And people are asking me, are you retarded? You're like, there would be so much gun death. And I'd be like, my explanation is this. There would be a huge spike in shootings and shooting deaths for like 3 months.
And then it would drop off.
After that, crime would be almost nil.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There would be shootings of criminals, right? There would be people because you're less likely to step up on somebody if you have a reasonable expectation that they're armed. That's why I think it's called Kennesaw County in Georgia. They have a bylaw that every homeowner must have a gun in their house. And they have no break-ins. They haven't had break-ins in like 15 years. They have the lowest crime rate in the country.
Well, I've seen the sticker on people's windows and cars. There's nothing in here worth your life.
Yeah, there you go, right?
It's
yeah, it's funny. Like I watch a YouTube channel every now and again. It's a cooking channel called Hillbilly Kitchen. And this woman makes these old, like very homey type like meals, right? Easy meals that any idiot with like a limited pantry can make. And occasionally you see a shot of her fridge. And on her fridge, there's like a bumper sticker magnet thing that says, "We don't dial 911." And then there's a picture of a fucking gun barrel, like right, it's pointed right at the viewer of the thing. I'm like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, that sort of fits. She's got the stereotypical hillbilly accent. But I mean, no, like I've said it before, when seconds count, the cops are minutes away.
Yeah, it's what's the word? Cliched.
Yeah,
right?
it's a trope, I guess. Or yeah. But it's true. I mean, the reason these cliches are so prominent and so lasting is because they're true. But yeah, I would be on board with. Actually, matter of fact, I think Canadians should have a Second Amendment and the equivalent of a Second Amendment, and I think it falls in line with that right in our charter that allows us to have the right to life and security of person. Now, I know you have. Go ahead.
No, just I always find it funny that Section 1 is a power of the government to limit all of our rights, and then way down in Section 7 is your right to life.
Yeah. But I mean, we just need to amend. We need to get rid of our charter and have an actual constitution, ratify an actual constitution. And in that constitution, the right to self-defense, the right to property should be guaranteed. The right to keep and own property.
I've been starting to think of myself as a Canadian Republican reformist. That I believe we'd have to reform our entire government from a constitutional monarchy to a proper federated democratic republic with a constitution that is real and not this like cast off Canada Act bullshit that is a remnant, a vestigial remnant of colonial rule that gives it used to give England the power to limit the Dominion's rights.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's like, oh, we're self-governing, but also we can take your rights whenever we want. No.
Yeah, and I mean, you take a look at Ford, right? We were talking about this in the last live stream. Basically, he put himself out there to say, you know what, we need to have emergency powers indefinitely. Like, really? Yeah. So I mean, this is the argument I get into with people all the time when I'm talking to them about, don't you understand that these edicts, these mandates that they're passing down, these are an infringement on your rights. Yeah, but it's no big deal. I don't mind wearing a mask. It's not the point. The mask isn't the point. The point is that they're telling you to wear something. And I went a little bit off the rails and said, okay, so in 1930s Germany, they forced one segment of the population to wear a yellow star. And maybe if people had put up more of a fuss, there'd be 6 million more Jews and there's descendants today. And he's like, well, that's not the same. It's not the same. And I know it's not the same. But the fact is, when the government, tries to exercise its power, it needs to be checked. And when they exercise their power in such a way where they're forcing you, it's not a matter of they're saying you can't do this, they're forcing you to do something. Then it becomes an extreme. Same case with Bill C-16, right? They're forcing you to use non-gender specific pronouns or special pronouns.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of saying, we would appreciate it if you used it, or you're not allowed to discriminate against people based on their gender identity. But it goes a step beyond when you say you must do this.
Yeah, and to the person who said, "Oh, that's not the same thing," I think that's inaccurate. You're both a little inaccurate, right? Like,
right. It's not a fair comparison. I realize that.
Yeah, it's fair. I don't even know what that means here. But look, okay, there's two dudes in the park with chainsaws. Okay, that is clearly one thing. And then a 4-year-old gets angry and starts kicking you, an adult, in the shin repeatedly. Is that the same thing? Well, no, but it's degrees of the same thing. Right?
Yeah.
It's force and the threat of force to get their way.
Right.
Right.
I mean, this person I was arguing with, they gave their own false equivalency comparisons. He says, well, the government forces you to wear pants, wear clothes when you go outside. Why don't you have a problem with that? If the government forcing you to wear a mask is such a violation of your rights, and them forcing you to wear clothes outside is a violation of your rights. I'm like, no, that's a false equivalency, because for all of human history, before we even had written language, people were wearing clothes. We were wearing them for protection from the elements. They're wearing them as cultural. We were wearing them, as fashion. We were wearing them for all manner of reasons throughout all of human history. Now, if all of a sudden tomorrow the government said, no more clothes, stop wearing clothes, that would be an infringement on people's normal way of life. Or imagine if we'd gone our entire lives, our entire human history, without ever wearing clothes, and then all of a sudden a ruler comes and says, you know what? Sunburns on people's foreskins are getting really out of control. Everybody's got to wear pants.
I hate that. That's the worst.
You know what I'm saying? So
I also want to work into this something about protecting other people's children from seeing my genitals, because we don't do that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, part of the history of us wearing clothing is is part of, a matter of decency, a matter of modesty. Our culture is built upon certain ideas surrounding modesty. Now, personally, as a libertarian, if somebody says, look, my religion dictates that I have to walk around naked all the time, personally, I don't think you should have a problem with walking around. There should be a problem with you walking around naked all the time. The problem comes is that you don't exist in a vacuum, and there are other factors associated with your public nudity, like putting people into an uncomfortable position.
Like my religion, it says that when I see another man's junk, I must chop it off.
There you go. Right. Are you Jewish?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were Jewish. Yeah, I didn't know you were a moil. No, but the thing is, yeah, there's externalities to your behavior, right? And we have to all sort of conform a certain degree to get along and function in society. But I mean, here's the thing. Canada basically rolled over with regards to face coverings for, Muslim women.
Yeah.
Right. And that is sort of like outside the norm for Canadian culture for the longest part of our history. It's only a recent phenomena. And there was some protestations to it saying this goes against, the concept of openness and, people being able to see your face in a public setting, people being able to interact with you on an equal footing, face to face. There's plenty of reasons why, people should be opposed to women wearing face coverings. Me too, Costin. I'm for nudity as well, but only for hot people. I don't want ugly people getting naked.
No uggos.
No uggos. But yeah, I mean, we're getting off on a tangent here. This is all about chainsaws. You imagine walking around naked with a chainsaw in your hand? That's just asking for trouble.
Yeah. Whew. No getting uncaught. Like that's.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but we're talking about masks for a second there.
Yeah.
On the way home from the other day, last night before, I don't remember. Hearing on the radio, they're talking about coronavirus and masks and stuff. And someone called into the radio show. And at first I thought, oh, I'm going to be with this person because they started with, look, I know some people are very concerned about their rights. And I was like, oh, okay, good. This seems reasonable. And then she says, but this is life or death. Your rights go out the window. I was like, what, bitch? What the fuck is wrong? Like, if I didn't have somewhere to be, I would have pulled the car over and called into the radio show to start yelling and
that
just
person's an idiot.
My rights exist because I do, not because Karen allows it. Like, What the fuck? Oh my god!
What's that meme? That phrase? If you have to ask for it, it's not a right; it's permission.
Yeah.
Right. Or the government can take it away and dole it out and take it away at a whim. It's not a right; it's permission.
Yeah.
This is the thing. This is what I was saying before. There are too many people, particularly in Canada, who say whose first mindset when they see something that sort of like irks them is there ought to be a law, as opposed to none of my fucking business, or mind your own fucking business, or leave me alone. Right? I think you see a lot more people in certain areas of the United States anyway who don't want there to be a law, just want people to leave them the hell alone and mind their own fucking business. But obviously not, because there's a multitude of Karens there too.
I've never been a big fan of Ronald Reagan, but he did say something in a speech once, or at least his speechwriters wrote something really great in a speech that, like, freedom is not passed down through the blood. It's something that has to be preserved with every generation. Otherwise, it will disappear like that.
Yeah, we're only one generation away from, freedom is only one generation away from extinction or being replaced with tyranny. And it's true. And this is where that whole cycle of civilizations comes in, right? Where people talk about, what is it? What does it start with? Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times.
Yes.
Right? So this is it, right? We're at a point now where we've been dominated by weak men for a nice little while, and they're creating some really hard times. Like I was watching Timcast earlier today, and he got all incensed about how de Blasio in New York, he, without the proper permitting process, painted that Black Lives Matter mural on the street in front of Trump Tower. He went against the law and just did it. Didn't get the permits for it. And he's all for and basically taking a knee with the protesters, but apparently, due to COVID-19 concerns, the 9/11 light memorial, where they have those lights beaming into the sky, they're shutting it down because of 9/11 or because of COVID-19 concerns.
And how does that make any fucking sense? Like, what does that have to do with it?
I don't get it. The idea is that, well, I mean, even if you don't allow people to come visit the memorial because of COVID-19 concerns, there's no reason why you have to shut off the fucking lights.
People don't have to visit it. They can see it from miles away, right?
Exactly.
They look up in the night sky and see it.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is what got Tim Pool incensed. He's like, the fact that our leaders are taking this particular position and not, standing for this, other truly tragic event, right? And basically thumbing their nose at the memorial, thumbing their nose at the lives of all those people lost, right? Thumbing their nose at the police officers, the firemen who ran up to towers that were on the verge of collapse to try and save people, and lost their lives doing it, right?
I remember the very first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man teaser trailer.
Yep.
Yeah. And they had to take it down. I think it was up for maybe 2 or 3 weeks before.
Yep.
It was not long-lived.
Yep.
And for anyone who doesn't remember, it was the Twin Towers with, I think it started with the close-up of the helicopter.
Yeah.
And then it zooms out, and it zooms out, and it zooms out, and the helicopter is caught in a web. And the webbing is between
the Twin Towers. Yeah.
And it was so fucking cool. I was so hyped for that movie, and then 9/11.
Yeah. But one of the things that Tim Pool said about it was, a lot of the people who are going to these Black Lives Matter protests and who are rioting in the streets, they don't share that memory. They weren't born. They weren't even born when 9/11 happened. And if they were born, they were just infants.
Yeah.
So, it's not part of their history. It's not part of their consciousness like it is for people who were, of age when it happened. So.
Well, this is a thing that people used to do. Sometimes maybe still do. Where were you?
Where was I when it happened?
Yeah. Everyone remembers when they heard what the heck was happening.
It's funny. I was on my way to, I can't remember the cross street. I was working in Etobicoke at the time, actually. Nice. At the Bank of Montreal on the Queensway. And
fuck, that was my bank.
We had mailboxes, etc. in there. They put it in there in the bank because apparently a lot of businesses in the area use that bank. So we were thinking, oh, well, maybe we'll get business customers coming in and they'll want to use our services. Mm-hmm. So that it was a pilot project to put an MBE in the bank. So we did. And I was like a manager there. And I was on the bus. I didn't know about it on the bus. I heard murmurings about it. People were talking on the bus. People going, oh my God. I didn't know anything about it, right? And then I got to work. And they're wheeling out this TV from their lunchroom so people could watch what was going on.
Yeah.
And then people, I gradually learned what was happening. And when it became clear that it wasn't just some stupid accident that a second plane hit, and okay, it was a terrorist attack. And then as the day went on, and there was a collapse, and then I remember Fark.com was a big thing at the time. And do you know what Fark.com is?
No.
It's a news aggregate site. So basically, people post links to articles, and they line up in a variety of different subject matters. So there was always like breaking news was one of them. Florida was one of them because there's always some stupid bullshit story coming out of Florida, or some idiot doing something dumb. Sports, others to politics, all of them, right? There are all the different sort of subjects that people talk about were in Fark.com, and you could organize by those different subject matter, but at the top will be the most current and most breaking. So the whole thing was just 9/11, right? All the breaking news, 9/11. Anyway, I remember, I don't remember how old I was. I was probably 30. So we're talking like 20 years ago. Yeah, I was probably 30. So I remember going into Fark and being a complete shit and saying, oh no, the Americans are going to become intolerable. And some of the people were giving me shit about it. People were saying, you asshole. I'm like, no, you just watch. Americans are going to become insufferable assholes over the next few years. And they were for a time. And then, it's like now it's like they forgot it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Sorry to bring everybody down on 9/11. It's a pretty sad story. But yeah.
I was in court.
You were in court. Were you like?
Yeah,
I
was waiting for my the release of my discovery, so that yeah.
I need to hear this story.
No. I mean that's an 18-month long story that literally goes nowhere. But that was my first long stint with the law. Right. Yeah. In and out of court for a long time. But I was in
bad boy.
And waiting for my turn in front of the judge, and suddenly it's like, okay, everybody go home. What? Everybody out. We're the building's evacuating, and like it was old City Hall, right?
Yeah.
And
beautiful building, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic. If you're there for the right reasons.
Well, just walking through it, it's a really pretty building. Like the interior design of it. So I want to know now, Irving, what kind of shenanigans did you get up to as a young child?
This was literally the first time. So there was nothing doing. It was like small possession charges, right?
Oh, okay. So we're not talking about like you for breaking and entering or like stealing a car stereo or anything like that.
Nothing major. I did no time.
Well, that's good.
But yeah, we had no idea what was happening. They're just kicking us out. Oh, that's right, because this was the one time that my mom had nothing to do and she wanted to see what goes on. So she came with me.
Oh, yeah. That's nice.
So she's just sitting in court with me.
And she's like, does this happen all the time? Do they normally evacuate?
No, I don't know what's going on. Like what? But I have a thing, and they're just ushering us out. And then I'm getting on the subway, and I've done this before. This is probably about 6 months in, like that I'm back and forth every month. And I'm getting on the subway, same time.
Yeah.
And instead of being empty because everyone's already gone to work and no one's leaving, the subway's jammed.
Yeah.
Like it's shoulder to shoulder. We're in a sardine can.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
because everybody's been sent home.
Yeah. And I'm asking like, what is going on? Because like also the court is right downtown, right? So all the major financial centers, the CN Tower,
it's on Queen Street, right?
What's that?
It's on Queen Street, right?
Yeah, like Queen and Bay, I think.
Yeah.
Right on the corner there.
Yeah.
Right, like basically in the middle of the financial district.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking around and I just asked some gent to the next to me, man, do you know what's going on? I have no idea what like why is it so busy? What's happened? And he gives me this like dirty look, like, where have you been? He says to me, like, what, how do you not know? And I was like, motherfucker, I was in court. Do you want to tell me what's going on? And suddenly he lightens up and he's like,
you're in court. He's afraid of you now, right?
Yeah. He's like, just go home and turn on the news. And we went home, and we had got home just in time, flipped on the news, and this was when CNN was still cool, right? We flipped on CNN, and like within minutes, we saw the second plane hit the tower. That now they had cameras on 20, like constantly. So we flipped on and watching one building is already burning, and we still aren't sure what's happening. And the next plane goes right into the building.
Wow,
it was fucking nuts, man.
Yeah, I was trying to do my job when the second plane hit, and then I heard people gasp. I'm like, what happened now? Anyway. Costin says, I was in a psych ward on 9/11.
Shitty buzz.
I'm sorry to hear that, Costin.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear the story, though. Sorry to hear about it. Sorry to hear that was the case. Love to hear about it. So,
yeah, I'm a little autistic that way, that now I want to know the details.
Yeah.
But if you don't have to share.
No, you don't have to share. But interesting stories are interesting. Yeah, it was a really weird time, but I guess getting back to it, my point is that this idea that they're not going to light up, the memorial, the light memorial for 9/11, and instead they're going to honor Black Lives Matter over a guy who was, killed by a cop who, let's face it, the guy was a thug. And he's getting murals and $15 million to the family and all these memorial services for him, where social distancing rules don't apply, mask rules don't apply, and the 9/11 memorial is being turned off, which is absolutely bonkers to me. All right, so let's see. We got some more comments. Greater Ajax. I was off work that morning, watched 9/11 Carnage live. Wow, yeah. Hell of a way to spend your day off, sitting there watching that horror unfold. And 6 minutes. I skipped class to have coffee and watch old music videos on the VH1. No old music videos were on VH1 that day. Yes. I wonder why.
Welcome, boys. Good to see you.
Thanks for coming by, guys.
Hello, Rose.
Hello, Rose. Welcome. Yeah, I don't know how we got on this subject, but yeah, I mean, I guess it's been some good conversation for sure.
I've been drinking at Gone Wild, but we were talking. You mentioned George Floyd and all the ridiculousness. Is this the appropriate time to share this thing now?
Bullshit. They can find the money to pay BLM on Fifth Avenue, then they can find the money for the memorial. Agreed, Ajax. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, you know what? Let's get to it. As awful as it is, let's move on to a more awful subject. We all know about Canon
Hinnant.
I'm going to say his name wrong, of course. Canon Hinnant, the young 5-year-old boy, and I want to say it was in North Carolina.
I don't actually remember.
I think I have the story here somewhere. North Carolina boy, yeah. Canon Hinnant, 5 years old, playing on his tricycle outside his house. Neighbor from across the road walks up and executes him. There's no other way to say it. He shot him in the head in front of his 2 older sisters. And we don't know the story. We don't know what's happened. We don't know why it happened. He was obviously something wrong with him. People are saying that it was because the kid rode on his lawn and he was pissed off about it, but that seems like an overreaction to being pissed off about something. But yeah, a little bit, eh? Anyway, so no mainstream media will talk about you. No one will march for you. No mural will be painted in your name. And then boom, blows his brains.
Oh fuck. I really I have such mixed feelings about this picture. Because
it's powerful but disturbing, you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, it is so beautifully done, and it is so fucking dark. Like the kudos to the artist and to the writer. If they're the same person, good job, guy. Like this
Yeah,
is
it is quite dark. Yeah, and it's well drawn. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, we should really talk about Canon Hinnant realistically here. This 5-year-old kid was no saint. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you know,
but he rode his tricycle
he rode his tricycle on. He was a terror in the neighborhood, constantly riding his tricycle on other people's property. You know, in a violation of their property rights. I think I heard he once threw a golf ball at a little cat's head, and gave the cat brain damage. I heard that he didn't eat his vegetables. He had to be goaded to eating his vegetables. And he had an addiction. He was addicted to Flintstones chewable vitamins. So this kid is not, the angel that everybody's making him out to be.
I am not opposed to this line of humor, but I have seen such horrible fucking responses.
Yeah.
Like that, oh, he got his little white privilege brains blown right out his head. Ha ha.
No, I've seen that too. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Like, yeah, and I mean, like, humor-wise, yeah, you're fucking nailing it, but right now it's so fucking bitter to me that, like, yeah, I'm not enjoying it. I'm sorry.
I'm being, genuinely disgusted by, the whole thing myself. But when you hear about the way people talk about George Floyd,
yeah, no,
right? I'm trying to draw the false equivalency between these two.
You're doing a really good job too. Like, because I don't know whether to laugh or cry, and instead I'm doing neither and just having another drink.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. I understand that, and if it's offending everybody or anybody, I apologize. My intention is not to offend, but to make you think a little bit about it. Big painting in Young and Eglinton, white silence is violence. You know what's funny, DeFelson? I was at Gen Con a couple of years back. This was before BLM. And I remember riding on the shuttle bus from the parking lot where we parked to the convention center, and this woke white male liberal made a point of having a conversation with nobody while on the bus about how he made some shirts for his niece or some shit for some event she was doing, some walk or run she was doing, that said silence is violence and white silence is violence. And I was standing there because it's standing room only on this bus, and I had such an urge to say, shut the fuck up and drive the bus, asshole. But of course, I don't want to get kicked off the bus. I still want to go to Gen Con. And I had a bag full of, things I wanted to buy or pick up or use at the convention. But yeah, I mean, this was 3 years ago, and this shit was rampant in Indianapolis. So much so that this douchebag, that wasn't the only woke bit of crap I encountered at Gen Con, but that phrase just it drives me fucking batty.
No, yeah, and Ajax points to it, right? Like, silence is violence, but words can also be violence. But also then violence is speech, right? That looting in Chicago is their right.
Yeah. It's reparations.
Like, oh, it's so, like,
it's bizarre.
You know how I know that their entire belief system is full of shit? They have to change the definition of words to make it work.
It's truly Orwellian. It's Orwellian newspeak. The idea that you can say Black Lives Matter, that you have to qualify when you're criticizing Black Lives Matter, you have to qualify it by saying, of course Black Lives Matter, I agree with the sentiment, just not the organization because of certain things. You should be able to criticize Black Lives Matter without having an addendum or a caveat to it. And the fact that saying all lives matter is considered controversial.
It's also controversial to say it's okay to be white and 2 + 2 is 4, but go ahead.
Oh, I know. 2 + 2 + 4, 2 + 2 = 4 is true Orwellian. And I mean, it's like, I have to hope that the people who are arguing on Twitter about how 2 + 2 sometimes doesn't equal 4 is not greater to or less than 4. I have to hope they were just being trolls. I have to hope that they were just being ironic for the sake of being ironic. DeFelson, I got so pissed way back home. Where is DeFelson located? Where are you, DeFelson?
DeFelson is new to me, but welcome, dude.
Yeah,
or
welcome, DeFelson.
Ma'am. It's man.
He's a man, baby. It's ma'am. I'm clearly a woman. Okay, buddy. It's not that clear. Sorry, pal. You know what I think the best response to a trans person losing their shit? In order to believe their ideology, one must accept opposing positions. At the same time, two wrongs must make you right. North York. Oh, hey.
Oh, wow. So proper Torontonian.
Yeah, respect to North York. Yeah, it is. It's like you have to consume and be immersed in cognitive dissonance to subscribe to the woke intersectional ideology, intersectional religion. It's ridiculous. I saw a video of this trans girl thing protesting and screaming at cops, and she had her top off and was screaming at the cops, calling them, race traitors and all this, because there were black cops, they're holding the line, right? He was a black.
But the tranny was white, right?
No, the tranny was black too.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. That's rarer.
But he clearly had been taking some estrogen, because he had estrogen tits. They weren't implants. He had the estrogen tits, and they were hanging out there and flopping. And the only thing I could think, they weren't even like big. They were estrogen tits. They were small. They looked like, mosquito bites almost. But the only thing I could think to say, I was like, damn, I wish I was a cop there, because I would have loved to say, nice tits, faggot, because I think that's the only response you can have to a trans who's losing their shit on you.
That's genius. That is
because it's at one. I mean, it is insulting on so many levels, right? First off, you're saying the F word that you're not supposed to say, and you're objectifying their breasts, which they have because they want to be objectified, or they don't want to be objectified, but they want to identify as a woman. And hey, you can identify as a woman and not have tits. They used to call them transvestites, cross-dressers. But I'm glad I gave you a laugh, DeFelson. I appreciate that. But I think, that's the response to trans people who are losing their shit and, going full on crab walk and is nice tits, faggot.
But actual real world comparison, it wasn't nearly as good as this, but a female protester got arrested and was being searched. Mm-hmm. And someone filming was like, another woman, is there no female officer that can do the search? Is there no female officer around? And the cop looks up and goes, how do you know I don't identify as a woman? And then takes her friend away.
That's hilarious. That's like when someone was giving shit to Lauren Southern, and she's like, you just misgendered me. I identify as a male. I identify as a man.
She legally is, according to Ontario law. She's a man.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And this woman, you could see the confusion in her face, because Lauren Southern does not look like a man. She's very feminine, very female looking, very womanly looking, right? And this woke feminist was like, Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. I apologize. And you could tell Lauren Southern is just fucking loving it. This was back in the days before she got all, calm and professional. This is back when she was like a troll, a professional troll for Rebel magazine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know that we're making fun and we're laughing now when the subject on the screen is the tragic case of Canon in it. But I don't know how else to deal with it because it truly is a tragic situation. Now, a lot of people are saying, and I saw people criticizing this mindset on Twitter, that he's not going to get a memorial. He's not going to get he does have a GoFundMe. Apparently, the family does have a GoFundMe, and I'm sure it's going to raise quite a bit of money. He's not going to get a mural. He's not going to get any of the media attention that George Floyd and the protests surrounding George Floyd have gotten. He's not going to get marches. He's not going to get people, rioting in the streets over it. And people are making that argument online, but then the opponents to that argument are missing the point. It's not that people want to protest and want to have memorials no, the people just want the media to do their job and report on a truly serious and important story. It's an important story. Yeah. It's not just a local crime story. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy of the most, it's the most inhumane thing you can think of, to walk up and in cold blood murder a child. There's nothing more inhumane.
Yeah, I don't know how to add to that. No one wants the memorial, the marches, protests, just a little bit of coverage.
Just honor it. Like, not even honor it, just recognize that it happened. But the fact is, and people have said this, it doesn't fit the narrative. The current paradigm is, we have to draw attention to the injustice that's happening to Black people. Everything else must take a back seat. Even when a Black person acts in the most heinous way, we can't call attention to it.
And then activists go ahead and basically celebrate that tragedy, right? Now, it's not Black people, it's the activists that are doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, I've only seen 2 comments to that degree. Now, maybe there's a lot more. Yeah, but I've only seen 2 comments where people were saying, despicable, horrible things about that kid getting his white privilege blown out the back of his head.
Yeah,
Irish Rose, I will let Greater Ajax spec for me on that one. He knows how I feel about this. Lauren is one sexy dude. Yes, she is. I think Blair White's hotter, but
actually, yeah, no, I agree with you. Not by much, but yeah, no, it's there.
The thing is that Blair White doesn't have all the requisite parts. But that doesn't mean that I would, kick her out of my bed.
Circling back around, I hate to tokenize guys like Terry Crews and Mike Tyson. But Terry Crews, I'm so glad that he has not backed down yet off of his last thing about Black Lives Better. You remember this?
I do, yeah. I made a video about it, actually.
That's right.
His exchange with Don Lemon, yeah.
And because previously he had said some things against the group Black Lives Matter, and then took the tweets down.
Why did he take the tweets down? I wonder. I guess he received a lot of heat for it, but
exactly. And now he's not. He's just going at it and realizing that Twitter's promoting the worst of it, but the support for Terry outweighs by far any
criticism. Yeah.
And along the lines with Canon here, and no murals, no marches. Mike Tyson tweeted something like, if white people went marching and protesting every time a Black person killed a white person, there would be no peace.
It's true.
And he took the tweet down because he received a whole bunch of vitriol about it. But,
of course,
like, there's clearly something wrong, and it's not whatever Black Lives Matter says it is.
No, the issue is, I'm gonna wax philosophically here. The issue is you've got a segment of the population which, without question, has lived through some pretty horrible history. Absolutely. But there have been laws passed and acts passed that puts them on equal footing with, the other citizens of the country. They are legally, in all respects, on equal footing in terms of, their rights under the law. Mm-hmm. The issue comes from the politicization of their awful history and the policies of certain individuals of a specific party that guarantees that these people will never actually get to a position where they are living in an equal sort of equitable society, right? There were two thinkers on this back in the early days of the abolition of slavery: Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. Booker T. Washington had the mindset that, look, now that you're free, you have to go back to the farms, work as sharecroppers, work in the farms, so that your kid can become a mechanic and his kid can become a doctor. You're not going to get these people to give you all your rights and everything that's coming to you overnight. It's just not going to happen. Sorry. It's terrible to say that, and it's terrible to think that way. And yes, you're owed it, but it's just not going to happen. You're going to meet with such resistance that it's going to be as bad or worse than living under slavery. W.E.B. Du Bois, on the other hand, said, no. Black people deserve their rights. They deserve everything that's coming to them. They deserve their reparations, their 40 acres and a mule. And we, the elite black amongst us, are going to make sure it happens. And it was the new Democrat Party, the Democrats that came out of the Civil War. And when it became clear to them that that blacks were eventually going to need to be given the right to vote, the right to own property, the right to use the same water fountains, the right to sit at the same counters, lunch counters. When they realized that, they're like, okay, well, we can still keep them down. We just have to promise them shit. Then they become reliant on us, and then they'll be voting for us as LBJ is, pretty sure it's LBJ, was reported to have said, we'll have those Nubians voting Democrat for the next 200 years. As though he didn't use Nubian. And that was the whole point behind ushering in a welfare state. And basically what's happened is there could have been a situation, there could have been a different history, but for certain policies from a certain party in the United States that basically guaranteed that the black community would stay dependent on government, communities that were falling apart without fathers in the home. And I mean, it's not just one policy, it's a string of policies. Joe Biden's crime bill and his policies that he enacted when he was a senator, they helped a great deal in making sure that millions of black youth in America grew up without their father and ended up getting into crime, ended up dropping out of school, never having a job, and dying at a young age because they didn't have the proper structure to actually have a decent life.
And Kamala Harris loves to put people in prison for pot abuse.
Yeah. And joke about smoking pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually that's a good point. Let's move on to that subject. So we have the Democratic ticket, cop and feel. And I saw a meme about this. So basically, she's the former cop, and she was a shitty. Shouldn't say a shitty cop. She was a bitch of a cop.
Was she actually a cop? I don't know about this.
She was a cop before she was a prosecutor. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought she was.
But while she was a prosecutor is when she did all the terrible things in terms of
seriously horrendous shit.
Yeah, like keeping prisoners in jail past their parole dates, so they could keep them on as cheap labor for the state.
Withheld information.
Yeah, withheld exculpatory information until she was forced to release it. That was going to get a guy off death row. Yeah. Tulsi called her out on that. It was that exchange on the debates in the Democratic primaries that caused Tulsi's name to be searched. Like it blew up at that particular time, and shortly after the debate, after she grilled Kamala Harris. So, but then of course she was probably slated to become the VP pick, and Joe Biden was slated to become the nominee while that debate was still going on. It was a done deal even while that debate was going on. I'm sure of it. And then you've got, Creepy Joe. I wonder if he's going to grope her. I bet he gropes her.
Apparently, she's not above that.
Well, yeah. Was it Willie Brown? Yeah, she. Joe Meat Blow. Oh, this is good. Greater Ajax, the new Democratic platform is Joe Meat Blow. That's true. Yeah, she made her way into politics by basically sleeping with Willie Brown. At least that's the accusation. I think that's his name. Willie Brown, was that his name? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm not sure.
He was big in politics at the time, and my understanding is she slept her way into politics.
I do want to. DeFelson writes, the Babylon Bee has a post today. Quote, BLM rioters awarded Nobel Peace Prize.
Well, it's not nice for them.
But Babylon Bee also had a headline. Joe Biden says, a black woman will only be president over my dead body.
That's in keeping. He is a racist. He's clearly racist. And how the Democrats can't see that is beyond me. With all the things he said, look, you're not black if you don't realize that you should be voting
20
for me.
and 30 years ago.
Not just things he said 20 and 30 years ago.
Things he said now, he's senile. He's just not doing a good job. I don't know that he's racist.
He's racist.
I would not sling that accusation at him.
Oh, I will. He's racist.
What I do know is there's this great comic based on the whole "you ain't black" thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen this one?
No.
That like shadowy figures are holding some poor black woman while she's crying and screaming, "I'll never vote for you." And then Joe Biden, with that like up look and all like godly and powerful, says, "Then I'm afraid you ain't black." And he puts his hand on her and she's screaming and it pulls the fucking melanin right out of her. And now she's a white girl dead on the floor.
Oh my God. Willie Brown. Okay. Yeah. So here's Greater Ajax. Let's see here. It's Willie Brown says that Kamala was his side piece to get the attorney general position. Some other positions were involved as well.
Oh.
It was Willie Brown.
Well played.
Nicely stated. But yeah, no, here's why I say that Joe Biden is a racist. One, the crime bill. The way he referred to black people when he was on the floor talking about the crime bill. Two.
Is that comparable? Hold on. Is it comparable to Hillary's claim of the black people being super predators?
It's not the same language. Like he didn't use the term super predators, but he used something akin to it. I don't remember the exact phraseology, but it was essentially a demeaning term with regards to, Now, let's be fair. There's a lot of gang violence going on at the time.
Sure.
But the way the law was implemented was not was not addressing gang violence in the same way that, gun buybacks and gun bans don't address gang violence, right? So the way he spoke about criminals in that time, that there were racial tones to it. You ain't black if you can't figure out if you're going to vote for me or Donald Trump. What was the other thing he said? Oh yeah, poor people are just as smart and just as talented as white people.
See, okay, now hold on. I don't know how racist that is, as opposed to a very old man losing a little bit and forgetting the talking point.
But okay, but even if he lost the talking point, the way he stated it indicates his subconscious thinking about it. The idea that well, first off, even if it's not necessarily racist towards brown people and black people, it's racist towards white people because it implies that only brown and black people are poor, and two, it implies that only white people are talented and smart, right? Even though he's saying the opposite, because he's letting it be known what his idea is, and what people must think this, because it's what I think, right? Anyway, no, he's he's the kind of racist who doesn't realize they're a racist.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he's also the kind of racist who engages in the soft bigotry of low expectations.
Definitely. Yeah. I can get behind that statement for sure.
Yeah. Anyway. He said they're animals. Thank you, Greater Ajax. Yeah. He didn't use super predators. He used the term animals, which is even more dehumanizing. At least a super predator has an adjective that it sounds somewhat positive in front of it. Animal just sounds base. Super predators. But yeah, so I think. What are your thoughts on the ticket, anyway? Sorry, I'm not even letting you speak.
No. I've been the color man. That's my job here on Ammunation. Take us off on weird tangents and then support the show.
I appreciate it. But no, what are your thoughts on his VP pick? And
look, what simple thought here is that if you're voting for Joe Biden at this point, you're voting for Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to be a bigot, you have to remember the word comma, because that's how you pronounce it. Kamala. Kamala, not Kamala, the way it's supposed to be pronounced, but this weird, stupid way that doesn't make sense in English.
Kamala, is that how it's supposed to be? This is the thing that's silly, because people on CNN, MSNBC, all these other outlets are still raging about how Tucker Carlson says her name, how it's this big injustice and how it's racist that he can't say her name right.
Yeah, no, it's like I've seen this on the BBC with Indian people speaking English with the thickest Indian accents you've ever heard. Mm-hmm. Beautiful English, but thick Indian accents.
Yeah.
Talking about how racist it is that people who don't speak our language say words in our language with a funny accent, that they can't pronounce your names. Are you fucking really?
Yeah. UK's a mess too.
In English, very much that word looks like Kamala.
That's how I would say it.
Absolutely. If she says it's Kamala.
Super Predators versus MS-13 aliens. I'd watch that movie.
Yeah.
I just see Geiger aliens going, "Hey, gringo!" That's terrible. I'm a terrible racist. But I don't think it was a smart move for him. But I think, like I said, I think this was decided back during the primaries. They knew long before those debates were ever done, Biden was going to be the nominee. Kamala Harris was going to be his pick.
Oh, I don't know if Kamala was already picked, but he made a promise.
Yeah.
Had to follow through now, and it couldn't be Tulsi. And who's the other young woman? Stacey Abrams, right?
Yeah.
She was not. What's that?
It wasn't going to be her. I think she was pining for it, but I don't think it was ever going to be her.
But I mean, that's the thing is, my vice president is going to be this token person, not based on whether or not I agree with them.
You're not a terrible racist. You seem I think that means kind of good at it, Craig Frank. Thanks, Ajax. I do my best. No.
But he literally tokenized the position.
Yeah.
Well, right. Rather than I'm going to pick the VP that's going to support me and compliment me well, he came out and said, "Oh, we're going to have a minority woman."
Yeah.
And suddenly limited his field to literally 5 people.
Yeah, and that's the other. That's the thing that I had a problem with Justin Trudeau and his cabinet appointments. Right. His response to putting 50% of the cabinet was going to be women was like, well, it's the current year, right? Like, of course it's going to be women. Why wouldn't it be women? No, why wouldn't you pick the people who are most competent for the job? Why wouldn't you, make a short list and put on that list people who are going to be able to do the best job? This is the person second in line for the most powerful office in the world, and you're using bullshit criteria like skin tone and genital shape to determine who that's going to be.
And I can admit, way back when I heard that, I was like, sure, why not? The cons didn't occur to me. Like, yeah, of course, women are capable of things, obviously. So why wouldn't it be? But I didn't understand the math and the science. I never really looked into it. It was after that I really started looking into it, and that's when I started a YouTube channel.
Well, yeah, with regards to the Trudeau government and the cabinet they picked, if there were 50 liberal, like in the Liberal Party, if there were 50 women liberals and 50 male liberals as members of parliament, or equivalent people in the bureaucracy of government,
exactly
50% on both, sure, then it would probably end up being 50%. But the fact of the matter is that wasn't the makeup of the seats, right? So this idea that you're going to pass over somebody who is more than likely qualified for the position to put somebody in there based on the shape of their genitals, not only is it a detriment to the country, it's sexist towards the person who should have had the job, and on top of that, it's patronizing to the one person who did get the job. Could you imagine someone saying to you, Irving, you weren't the best person for the job here, but we don't have enough brunettes, or we don't have enough people of Italian descent on the team, so we went with you. You imagine how insulting that would be?
Yeah. You know what?
You're Italian, right? Your Italian background.
Yeah, my dad. Yeah.
I was going to say, I just want to be sure.
You're not wrong. And also, it's the same thing as what upsets me is that it's the same thing as saying, literally, we got too many blacks. We got too many blacks and women. We need a white dude.
That would be how people looked at it. That would be how people looked at it. But if your skin were black and they came to you and said,
no,
Irving, we want to hire you because you're black and we think you're one of the competent blacks, so we want to put you in this role.
But
that's insulting. That's racist and insulting. And there was a show on when I was a kid on TV. It was a sitcom called What's Happening. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember it. But it was
but I remember.
It was an urban sitcom with a largely I think it was called What's Happening. Yeah. It was a group of black youths, and one of the people in the cast was this woman who ran like a restaurant, this heavyset black woman who ran a restaurant, and she wanted to get out of working in the restaurant, so she applied to be like a secretary at some small office somewhere.
$5 says her name was Mabel.
Could have been. It's quite possible. Anyway, she was a sassy black woman. She was your stereotypical sassy black woman in this show. Anyway, so she gets the job. She didn't think she was going to get it because she knew that her typing was terrible. Like they wanted somebody who could type 75 words a minute. They made a mention of this. Well, she didn't meet the typing requirements. The guy's assistant said, "Oh yeah, it's not great. It should have been 75 words per minute, but 45 words per minute isn't bad." Anyway, so they bring her on, and then she gets in the position, and they're not giving her any work to do. And they're like, "No, you just sit there and organize your desk," and they just wanted her for a token black person. And when she found out, she was so insulted. She says, "I don't want this job because I'm black. I want this job because you think I'm the best person for the job." Anyway, she ended up quitting because she was so insulted by it. And to me, the idea that you're going to patronize somebody because of the color of their skin, there is nothing more insulting to me. I think that's disgusting. And it is on its face the epitome of racism. And then out in California, where they have basically, there's a prop on their election this year to remove an amendment, a human rights amendment prop. I can't remember. I want to say it's 18. Tim Pool's talked about it at length, but basically, there was an act passed that would make it illegal for employers and universities and whatnot to discriminate based on skin color. Yeah. Basically, make hiring practices based on skin color, gender, sexual orientation. They're removing that. Why? So they can now say, we're going to hire people because they're black. We're going to not hire people because they're white. And people are calling it an affirmative action, the affirmative action prop. But it's not affirmative action. It's, well, I mean, I guess it is technically affirmative action, but there's no policy more racist than affirmative action. What's Happening was great. With Rod Rerun, that was his name, big fat guy who wore the beret. That's right. What's Happening? Thank you, Greater Ajax. I forgot the names. There was a guy who was a skinny guy who wore glasses. There was Rerun, Dwayne. Rerun was the shorter guy with the big afro. And Dwayne was the big guy who wore the berets and the big colorful suspenders, if I recall correctly.
But apparently, Shirley was the token hire.
Shirley was the token hire. He remembers
$5 on Mabel. I will buy you $5 of ammo when we go to the range.
That's right. You said $5. Yeah. Shirley. Yes. So you remember that episode too, Greater Ajax. Yeah. To me, when I saw that episode, I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely right. That's so wrong to do that. And now look, here we are, 2020, and affirmative action is the policy of the day. And they're actually passing laws so that the state can discriminate against people based on the color of their skin. It's bizarro world.
And see, on that affirmative action note, there's people, they're suing Yale for discriminating against not only whites but Asians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then did you hear the statement from the person who was being sued? It wasn't the statement from the lawyer. It was a statement from the person who's actually being sued, the person who was in charge of admissions or what have you.
I just hope they had their lawyers' consent and advice before they went ahead.
He basically said, "We don't care. We're doing what's right. This is right.
Not what's right. That's what's
not what's right.
Justice."
Yeah.
Yeah. No. And again, comments I've seen about defending Asian people from discrimination is, you're only doing that so you can also defend white people.
I don't want anyone to be discriminated against. How about that? I don't want anyone to be discriminated against for immutable characteristics, things that they have no control over. There's nothing more heinous than making blanket judgments and having policies in place that discriminate against people based on things that they have no control over.
And like, Craig, you're too pure for this world. You have not engaged in YouTube debates. I've engaged in a couple and done very poorly, even when I was right. And I debated a guy who was talking about positive discrimination versus negative discrimination, and I didn't argue the position of positive discrimination is just discrimination. That when you're positively discriminating for a group, being black people or brown people, you are negatively discriminating against by necessity. To do so, to argue one way, to discriminate that direction, you have to penalize the fucking Asians.
It's true. But when I think of positive discrimination, you know what I think of? I have discriminating tastes when it comes to cheddar. I will only eat English cheddar. I won't eat American cheddar. That is being positively discriminatory, saying I like cheddar, but I prefer English cheddar. And so given my druthers, I will choose English cheddar over American cheddar. That's positive discrimination.
Well, that's this other idea that discrimination is necessarily bad. It's like, no.
We discriminate all the time. In the clothes we wear.
It's our ability to make decisions.
Right. You put things in a hierarchical structure on what you think is better than the other. But you don't do it on things that are irrelevant to the situation. Skin color, gender are irrelevant. What matters is competency, education, skill level, grades in the case of colleges, what have you. If you want to make a case for affirmative action, and Thomas Sowell talked about this, if you want to make a case for affirmative action, in which case you're going to preferentially treat certain people who, would have had disadvantages into getting into a school, do it on income based.
Right.
Make it so that, okay, you don't have the money to come to this school. You don't have the economic background that would afford this school, but you got the grades. So we're going to admit you to the school, and you're going to have this bevy of scholarships that are going to help you pay for it. Or we're going to lower tuition for you because of the fact that you come from this economic situation.
I'm all for that.
Me too, because then you're still admitting people based on merit, right?
Yes. Because I'm sorry, it's just not true. Not everyone is cut out for higher learning.
No.
Not everyone is cut out for philosophical debates and physics. Some people learn with their hands, and you know what? That shit is super valuable. It's so very valuable that you should make a living out of it.
Masseuses.
And we shouldn't be tricking people into saying or into thinking that working with your hands is somehow less. And we shouldn't be tricking other people into thinking that working with your words or with your math is somehow better.
No.
Yeah. Because guess what? When you get into journalism or into math, chances are, just like everybody else, you're going to be fucking average.
Okay? Well, yeah. You read the articles, you see how many typos and errors there are in current articles and listicles that are on the internet. These people went to journalism school. You'd think they know how to spell certain words and know proper grammar. But
because anyone wants to call me a Nazi, you're right. I'm a grammar Nazi.
A grammar Nazi, yeah.
Grammatik macht frei. Okay?
Same, ditto.
Yeah. Oh. Yikes.
Okay, greater reaction. The left demands that hierarchy be abolished, but they just want their hierarchy to be installed in its place. Absolutely. That's a good point. Their hierarchy meaning the victimhood stack, right? the intersectionality hierarchy. Basically, the chance of the greater degree to which you're oppressed, the more opportunities need to be put in your hands or given to you. There used to be you know what? It reminds me of the term snowplow parents.
Yes, or lawnmower parents works as well.
How does lawnmower parents work?
That they go out in front and mow everything down.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Snowplow. You mean they move all the obstacles out of your way so that you can succeed. I don't have any problem with people saying, I'm going to get the obstacles out of my kid's way so that they have a better chance. Fine, to a degree, but once they step off the driveway and onto the sidewalk, it's up to them to trudge through the snow.
Yeah.
Right? But the left, based on what Greater Ajax saying, the left is saying, no. We have to have snowplows in front of the people who are black, trans, and disabled for their entire life, and make sure that they're in one of those little heated, mobility scooters that have the canopy and keep them warm so they don't get cold. This is the idea of the hierarchy that the left wants, right?
And it's goes back to Jonathan Haidt and he I don't remember the title of the book. Do you know? But anti-fragility, right? That you're not your best bet to become stronger is to experience hardship.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, sure, I can plow that out of your way, but that doesn't do you any good really, because you don't become better. Right? If you have to push your wheelchair with your tits and dick hanging out of your fucking top, right? Right, through the snow, suddenly you're a stronger person.
Yeah.
Man, woman, I don't give a shit.
As a matter of fact, if I had a kid,
person for it.
If I had a kid, I wouldn't be plowing the driveway for them, or I'd be handing my kid a shovel and say, "Shovel the driveway."
Exactly.
Get it done before 6, otherwise your dinner's gonna get cold.
You brought it up. My dad was Italian. Right, at 4 years old, here we go. We're gonna shovel the driveway.
Yeah.
At 5 years old, go shovel the driveway.
Yeah. I don't think I was that young.
And now it's my turn. Now I do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think it was that young, but yeah, I was shoveling driveway when I was young, like before I was a teenager. I'm gonna say 10, 11, right?
Yeah.
And mowing the lawn. It was my job to mow the lawn in the summer because my brother had a summer job, so I had to mow the lawn, and it wasn't even to be questioned. It was just like, you got to mow that lawn. Okay. I don't know how many extension cords I ran over. Son of a bitch wouldn't get a fucking gas mower. He had to have an electric mower with an extension cord.
Took me about 20 years, but I finally got him to do it, and then I moved out.
That's funny. Yeah, now I have a gas mower, and I got this tiny postage stamp of a front lawn. It takes me like 10 minutes to mow the front lawn. That's it. And I'm like, perfect. I still come in drenched with sweat because I'm out of shape. But yeah, I'll never use another electric mower again. Even battery ones, they suck. They don't have enough power.
Yeah, they're...
The newer ones may be better, but I bought a battery one a while back and it was terrible. Didn't cut for shit. Anyway, we're kind of getting off on a tangent. I don't really have much else to talk about unless there's something you wanna talk about.
Ooh, okay. You're setting me. You're unleashing me here. Let's do it.
Go nuts! You're not that sloppy yet, so.
Brass Rail.
Yes.
The premier strip club in Toronto may have exposed as many as 550 people to coronavirus.
I heard that.
Now, I know what they mean. One employee has tested positive, and so, being in the facility that, over a couple of days, that might, expose other people to the virus. My first thought was, 550 people. That is one hard-working stripper.
Yeah, she did a
Like,
lot
good
of
for
lap
her.
dances.
Like, yeah, like
That's a lot of lap dances. I gotta wonder. So, what are the restrictions on stripper places? Do the strippers have to wear masks?
in phase 3 opening, no. That's
Okay.
strip clubs were shut down until phase 3.
Okay, so they don't have to wear masks.
Yeah.
Even are they allowed to do lap dances?
You know what? I would like to say yes, but I haven't been.
Me
And
neither
that's
have I.
the thing that upsets me because I'm a strip club connoisseur.
Are you
And
really?
if I have not been to a strip club, guys, really 550 people in a couple days at Brass Rail, one of the worst, shittiest fucking strip clubs in the city, and you can't avoid it. What the fuck is going on?
I
Come
don't know,
on, guys.
man. I think worst. I got to give it to Cannonball if it's even still around.
No, it hasn't been around for 10 years. That's how old you are.
Well, in my defense, I haven't been to a strip club in 10 years, so.
Then I feel bad for you because the last one was Cannonball.
No, it wasn't actually. The last one that I went to was in Burlington. It was Solid Gold in Burlington.
Any good?
It's a strip club. I'm not really into them, truth be told. I mean, I don't mind going there and looking at boobies and veggies, but
Sure.
it's not really my scene. I don't get all amped up. For me, it's going with a bunch of friends, having some drinks, and cracking lewd jokes under our breath. That's
Oh,
about it.
okay. Because again,
I don't do lap dances. I don't, I'm not into that. I would feel weird if I had a lap dance and then went home and climbed into bed with my wife. I'd feel like I cheated on her. So I wouldn't get a lap dance. So, yeah. I know it's silly, but that's how I feel about it.
No. I get it. I mean, I'm a strip club connoisseur, and I know good strip clubs, good strippers, and half the people in the strip club have Hep A and every other disease under the sun. Yet they're
worried
about
about COVID. It's true. It's true.
oh,
There's
my
some
man's in
dirty
Chicago.
girls there.
Yeah. No, Chicago's a little different than Toronto, I think.
WR Costa says no lap dances. Ford commented on this. Yeah, I mean it would make sense that they wouldn't do lap dances. I just hope that they're not being forced to wear their undies, because that was the one thing that Canada had, the United States doesn't have.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of states where they have all nude in the United States.
You can't have all nude and serve alcohol.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Why?
So if you serve no alcohol, they can be all nude.
So make it a BYOV place. We'll bring you the mix, and you can bring in your own bottle.
No, they've got some weird thing where
we'll charge you a corking fee. We'll charge you a corking fee, and then that's it. Oh wow.
No. And most places in Toronto, GTA, if you were to bring a bottle that they don't have, you pay them $300 like you're buying their bottle service.
Yeah. That's how there are places in Quebec. I remember going to a place in Quebec once where they didn't have a license. Or did they have a license? No, they did have a license, but you could bring your own wine. They would allow you to bring your own wine. I think because the culture in Quebec is, there's a lot of wine drinking in Quebec. You could bring your own wine to the place, but in order to drink it there, they charge you a corking fee.
Which is how much?
I can't say. It's probably like $20 a bottle or something like that. So you may as well buy their wine. I think that's the way they do it, right? But some people want to bring their own wine because they bottle their own wine or what have you. They don't want to pay for their overpriced wine. Maybe it's less. I don't know. I don't drink wine. I just remember the restaurant had this this policy in place. But yeah.
I just think it's funny, to be honest.
Yeah. It is kind of funny.
Yeah, that I have not gone.
See, the thing is, though, Greater Ajax last Last Kanakistani strip club I went to was Cecil. Where's Cecil?
I have no idea.
Never heard of that one. Never heard of that one.
I have no idea. Like,
but to your point, yeah, hepatitis. Thing is, you're not going to die from hepatitis. You're not going to die from the clap.
Look, I don't know the truth of that. I mean, here's my problem. Is apparently when I walk into a place like this, they recognize a degenerate and they get along with me very well. And I am one of those fucking assholes that walks out of the place with the stripper and goes to her place.
Oh, like, wow, you are a degenerate.
Yeah,
you're living the dream.
Vancouver. Okay, I've never been out Vancouver.
I've never been to Vancouver either. I want to go one day. The last time I went to a strip club, I used to be involved with a group of guys. On Wednesday nights, we would go to my friend's wife's. She had a business, and in the back of the business, she had like a warehouse, and it was mostly half empty most of the time. So he set up his keyboard. There was a drum set brought in, and we would go and jam and make music. Right? We just I sang 90s stuff. They would play their instruments. But every once in a while, the guy who was our main guitarist, he would go, "You know what? I don't feel like jam tonight. You guys want to go to the strip club?" And we would go. We'd go to the strip club, and we ended up meeting this girl who had just started at the club. She was a stripper, and she was new, and she would come after her set and sit down at our table and chat with us. And, she was really nice, but I don't know what her game was. None of us ever took her home. I think she just wanted to sort of build up her sort of regular flock of clients that would routinely come in and see her. So she was, very friendly with us. And I don't mean friendly in a skeezy way. I just mean pleasant and friendly. That's all.
I think that has to do with you being pleasant and friendly. And she's scared. She's intimidated, and you know what, every new stripper is self-conscious. So if someone's going to treat her like a human being, she's going to sit and chat with you guys.
We were all pretty respectful, right? This is the thing, like when we would go, we weren't like hooting and hollering and like putting dollar bills in our teeth and like leaning into their crotch area. We were basically sitting at a table. We weren't down front, so we didn't want to be down front. We sat like a row back, and we sit at our table, drink our drinks, crack lewd jokes to each other, quietly, and just enjoy the show, so to speak, right? So
for me, what I do is treat them like both a human being and a piece of meat, because I'm a man. And like you're a woman and you're basically naked in front of me right now, but also I'll buy you a drink and treat you like a human being, and if you're interested, we can go in the back. Like
so why don't you go to strip clubs anymore?
No, we literally, my buddy came down from his job, and we were looking at the coronavirus map, and it was all happening, and it's like, your birthday's coming up. It's February. We have 4 confirmed cases. Let's go to the strip club right now, because if we don't, that's going to be the last time we do it for like God knows how long. What the hell? So we rushed out to the strip club.
But you haven't been since.
No, and if I can hold off, right, then so can everybody else, guys. Calm down. Serious.
What was it that I wish I could do emojis on this, but I'm on my laptop. RWR Costin, respect is evil. Okay, that's a hot take. I remember. I wish Pox was here, because last week he was putting up emojis, and the one he put up that I thought was funny was the emoji of the woman and the trash can within her trash. He's a funny guy. Anyway,
he's great.
Why is respect evil? I don't think respect is evil. Self-respect is good. Respect whammon. Come on.
Respect has a potential to be evil, right? Like, you shouldn't put anybody on a pedestal.
Yeah, but that's not respect. That's idolatry. Respecting someone is just
Sure, but I think that's
treating them decently.
Like we talked about earlier, degrees of the same thing.
I suppose.
Right. And one of the things that I avoid is pedestalizing. And I really like you. I think you're great. Also, I would do horrible things to you. And that balance is what gets these women who do these kinds of things to want in my pants. Like, I literally, I don't have to do much work. I just have to be my degenerate self. And yeah, I get them asking me home.
Well, you're a young man who's in good shape, and younger man. You're still in your prime, right? How old are you, Irving?
38. I'll be 39 this year.
You're still in your prime. You haven't hit middle age yet. You're speaking completely on an empirical basis. You're an attractive man. No homo. But so it stands to reason that you'd be able to bed a lady who already has self-esteem issues by virtue of the profession she's chosen. Anyway, we've had a lot of fun tonight. Where is it? Oh yeah, there we are. Women, is that women beer? Oh, that's a trash can. Is that a trash can?
Yeah.
Women are trash. Nice. Thanks, Ajax. I appreciate that. There's one more thing that I want to discuss.
Let's do it before I'm too lit.
Nobody tells jokes anymore. And I don't mean like, they crack a one-liner or, they have a pithy comment they jab in there at the right time. That's comedy, don't get me wrong, and that's good. But nobody tells jokes anymore. And I'm talking about anecdotes, stories, and so I'm wondering, do you have any jokes you can tell? I have one that people may have heard because it's not mine. I heard it recently and I laughed.
I'm sorry 6 isn't here. I would tell one of my favorite jokes that I heard from him, but you go ahead. Let's have you start.
All right. You may have told me this as well at one point because I seem to remember hearing this joke in your voice at some point, but I'm going to tell it the way I heard it. And okay, so a little boy comes home from school one day. He's got this kind of like confused look on his face. His father's in the house and he's having a beer. He'd finished his job for the day. He says, "Hey, morning or afternoon, Johnny. What's going on there? What's got you troubled?" And little Johnny goes, "I got an assignment. I'm not sure how to do it." "Well, what's your assignment about?" "Well, we have to describe the difference between hypothetically and realistically." Have you heard this? You're laughing already. You may have heard this already.
Please tell it.
Okay. And if you've heard in the chat, don't fucking blurt out the answer because that's just mean to anybody who hasn't. Anyway, so it's hypothetically and realistically, huh? Okay. I tell you what, I can help you with that, son. Go talk to your mother. She's in the laundry room. I want you to ask her if she would sleep with somebody for $1 million. Okay. So the kid goes off, asks his mom. Mom says, $1 million? It's a lot of money. Yeah, I'd probably sleep with somebody for $1 million. Comes back, tells his dad. All right, now go upstairs to your sister. I think she's doing her homework. Ask her if she would sleep with somebody for $1 million. And so he does what his father tells him. Goes upstairs, says, "Hey, would you sleep with somebody for $1 million?" And she goes, "Yeah, for sure. That's like $1 million. That's a lot of money." You like my voice anyway.
That
So
was
he
great.
comes back downstairs and says, "Yeah, Dad, she said she would sleep with somebody for $1 million too. But what does this have to do with my assignment?" He's like, "All right, hypothetically, you and I
Go ask your brother.
go ask your brother."
Yep.
But that wasn't part of this joke I heard. But
Yes,
I know where you're going. But the joke I heard, is different. Don't interrupt me, man. Anyway, he goes, hypothetically, we're sitting on $2 million. Realistically, we're living with a couple of whores.
See, now
You heard it different.
go ask your brother.
He didn't laugh. I'm hurt. He didn't laugh.
But go ask your brother.
And brother, what does his brother say?
And then come to the punchline, and you end up with, hypothetically, we're sitting on $3 million. Realistically, we're living with 2 whores and a queer.
Yes, that would be good. Yeah, yeah. That I heard it differently. Hey, Toxic, welcome. Toxic. Put up that women are also trash. That looks like a beer mug to me, but I guess it's a trash.
Yeah.
All right, Felson had a joke. I heard someone say they knew a guy named Hunter in college, but he was vegan, so they called him Gatherer, and I think that's hilarious. That is pretty good, especially if it offended him, and I hope it did.
Oh shit! The guy named Hunter who is a vegan,
so they called him Gatherer. Hey, Gatherer! Can you imagine? That's insulting. It's funny, but it's insulting.
Yeah, it's amazing. It sounds like is it what's it called? The Horn in Toronto? The restaurant?
Not familiar.
And everything is freshly hunted.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah, I remember there being a story about this. Yeah.
Yes, that they protested him because they're vegans and all that.
Yeah.
And he fucking fried up a venison steak and sat in the front window and sawed it up and ate it in front of them and shit. Yeah.
Well, not only that, he basically butchered the thing in the front window. He brought the thing in like newly skinned, so to speak, and started cutting it up into venison steaks and cutting it up into hawks and everything. And and then he took it out on a grill and started grilling it in front of him. Yeah, it's the only way you can deal with people who are offended and have righteous indignation is basically say, all right, you want to be offended? Here you go.
And yeah, he did a great job trolling, and what are you supposed to do? What are the activists supposed to do against him now?
Yeah, nothing. They can't. It's his property, right? They were just hoping to get people to stop going in. They wanted to intimidate his potential clientele, right? And if you're going to a place that specializes in recently slaughtered meat that was hunted from the forest, I don't think you're going to be intimidated by a bunch of blue-haired weirdos.
No, not at all.
Greater Ajax, hypothetically, they would sleep with someone for $1 million. Realistically, nobody would pay them $1 million for sex. I don't know. Depends on. It's true. You have a joke? Come on, you got to have a joke.
I have tons of jokes. I'm just trying to think what's appropriate here. Okay.
There's nothing inappropriate on this channel.
Adam and Eve, they live in the garden, and God tells them, go forth and multiply, right? And they get it on for the first time. God comes afterwards and sees Adam just chilling out in the garden and says, "Hey, how was it? How'd you like it?" He says, "Yeah, it was great. It was fantastic." He goes to find Eve, and Eve is in the river washing, and God sees her and he's like, "Oh no, what are you doing?" She's like, "What? Oh no, I was just cleaning up." And he's like, "Oh, I'll never get that smell out of my fish."
I've heard that one before, and it's It was slightly different, but I've heard something like that before. That's hilarious. I have another one before we go. It's we're coming up on 2 hours, and we probably should call it after this. Okay, and you may have heard this one before too. Again, none of these jokes are mine. They're just ones I heard over the years.
They're ageless.
Yeah. So the end of the world is coming. The nuclear holocaust is coming. God has foreseen it. He knows it's going to happen. And he comes down to a church where in the courtyard of the church there's a statue of a man and a woman who've been positioned in this courtyard across from each other, staring at each other for however long they've been there, hundreds of years. And he gets this idea in his head and he snaps his fingers, his godly fingers, and the statues, boom, come to life and become mortal flesh. He says, look, the end of the world's coming. You've been standing here for all this time. I wanted to give you a few moments of humanity to enjoy before the end of the world And, you've got these minutes to do whatever it is you want to do. Nothing's a sin because the end of the world is coming and I just don't care at this point. So the man statue and the woman statue, they look at each other and they got this big grin on their face and this eyes wide, and they run off into the bushes. And God gives them their privacy. He sees the bushes rustling around for a couple minutes, and then they come out and they're all like sweaty and big smiles on their face. He's like, was that worth it? And they're like, yeah, that was great. We're so happy. He's like, well, you got a couple minutes left. You want to, do anything else? And the guy looks at the girl and he says, yeah, let's do it again. But this time you hold the pigeon down and I'll shit on its head. Isn't that terrible? It's a bad joke. But I always thought it was kind of cute and funny. You hadn't heard that one before, obviously.
I have not. Yeah, no.
Well, I'm glad I told you when you were drunk.
I just want to shit on this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's retarded. Oh,
it is a little retarded. You're right.
I really appreciate it. But in honor of Six, who's not here, what are the first 3 words of every Mexican recipe?
I don't know. What are the first 3 words of every Mexican recipe?
Steal a chicken.
Steal a chicken. That's racist. That's funny. Steal a chicken.
We'll have him on next time.
Yeah, we should. He came into the chat a little while, but he wasn't around for long, which is fine. He doesn't have to. I understand he's got to work tomorrow, but that's cool. Anyway, folks, this has been Ammunation 7. Appreciate everyone for coming by. And we had, I think we at one point we had 10 or 11 people in the chat.
We did
watching, so that's good. My name is Craig Bragg. You're on my YouTube channel, obviously. If you're not subscribed, please do. I will regularly upload content. I'm doing the live stream every couple of weeks now. Irving and I have decided to flip-flop, so we'll do it alternate. So this week we're doing Ammunation 7, or we're doing Ammunation. Next Friday, I presume, we'll be doing the After Hours live stream on Irving's channel. If you're not following Irving, please do. You can follow him on Twitter at Irving_Twitter. You have a banner. And are you on Parler yet?
I am, but I hate it. It's terrible.
I'm not a big fan of it either. Is it the same username you got on Parler?
Yes.
Well, if Parler eventually becomes the platform of the day, and we all migrate over to that, then you'll have the same at. So yeah, follow Irving Twin there. My name is Craig Bragg. You can follow me on Twitter at BraggCD. And folks, I appreciate you all watching. You all have yourselves a great night. And with that, Irving, I'm waiting on you, man. You got to say it.
Hail Sigmar.
Thanks very much, folks. Have a great night.